Hey Laowinners, it's Laowinners here with another video, and I've actually addressed this many times about the fact that you can never be Chinese. We've talked about this because if you are a non-racially Chinese person, then you will never be considered by Chinese people as a Chinese person. After all, the Han Chinese or Chinese identity in general is racially based and not actually a social construct, kind of like people calling themselves Americans no matter where they're from in the world. You can learn to cook Chinese food, you can speak fluent Chinese, you can try to get permanent residency, hell, you can even dress up like an idiot, just like I did.
It was January in southern China, and there were bubbles in the air. A young 25-year-old boy by the Chinese adopted name of Wang Yeol found himself enamored with a local Chinese maiden. In fact, he was so enamored that he set out to prove to the locals that he, in fact, was not only accepting of Chinese culture, but a Chinese man himself, deep in his heart. You could often find Wang hiding in ancient Chinese archways, flowers in hair, snapping photos of his treasured beauty. After much trial and tribulation, this southern beauty conceded her hand in marriage, much to the horror of her very traditional family members.
这个庞大鼻子的老外会偷我们中国的女儿。
他肯定不明白我们自己的中国的文化。他每个月赚多少钱？
They exclaimed. Racking his brain, young Wang couldn't seem to figure out why, after 5 years, eating, living, and breathing China, learning the language fluently and calling China his home, he would not be accepted as a rightful husband. Then it occurred to him. The main thing that prevented his integration was in fact his appearance.
Hello, foreigner.
他的皮肤好白，你看老外。
这个老外会用我们中国的筷子
was all he heard every day in China. But what if he donned the local attire of the native Chinese? What if he was to blend in wearing an assortment of dynastical garb? Wang set out to find the most prestigious tailors in the city to create a diverse wardrobe of beautiful garments that would surely win him the love, support, and acceptance he so craved. He first donned the silken blue robes of the Tang dynasty and adopted the Chinese practice of shielding himself from the sun with a parasol in order to retain his milky white skin. He made it a habit to stroll through the gardens and admire the various specimens of flowers and foliage native to the Canton region. Failing to impress the family after looking like an imposter, he decided to choose a more flashy ensemble and display different hues of red, hoping not only to capture the Chinese traditionalists, but the party-loving communists as well. But the question remained, would he ever be able to unveil the true mystery of his passion? As Wang fanned away the bubbles of love, he was faced with another problem. His Chinese family could not accept his lack of eyebrows. Wang hired a well-known makeup artist to give him something he never had, which hopefully, in turn, would give him something that he could never get. Even his hair rose to the occasion. Despite his now masculine appearance, Wei's family still shunned him. In a last-ditch attempt, Wang recalled the traditional Chinese dolls he once played with, and remembered the striking mouse-like ears that protruded from their heads in utmost confidence. He too would possess that confidence. Enter the Ming Dynasty hat that would sway the hearts and minds of the Middle Kingdom. Poring over ancient Chinese texts, he uncovered secrets that would eventually convince his bride-to-be and her family that he was now a worthy groom.
Do you have any things you want to talk to Vivi now?
Just want to say that I'm very lucky to meet Vivi, and maybe it was very difficult to enter her family and to get her parents to accept me, but at the end of the day, everything worked out and love always triumphs over everything else. So very lucky to be able to marry my best friend, and I hope that she's feeling the exact same way that I am.
The wedding was set, and the ceremonial tea was poured for the previous generation, in a sign of utmost piety. But he couldn't understand why his future grandmother-in-law was snickering with contempt. Wang, shaking with anxiety as he was escorted to the ceremony, the banquet was filled with over 300 esteemed guests, including the highest of officials within the Chinese Communist Party.
我们也没有动摇，因为我们只有一个女儿，我只有一个女儿维维，所以我们不动摇，这是我们的底线。可是，如今我女儿偏偏爱上了一个外国人， 偏偏爱上那个白皮肤、绿眼睛的泰马修先生。
As Wang emerged onto the stage, he was met with ridicule and uproarious laughter. He shook back and forth as he tried to serenade the guests with their favorite communist anthems, but to no avail.
没有共产党就没有新中国，没有共产党就没有新中国。哎，怎么停了？继续。没有共产党就没有新中国。
Wang clenched his sweaty palms as he squinted into the crowd, trying to find someone he recognized, all while singing the praises of the CCP to drunk party members, trying not to spill their cognac in jovial outburst.
在那遥远的地方，有位好姑娘，人们走过她的帐篷，都要回头留恋地张望。大家说唱的好不好？
Wang's face was on the floor. Years of trying to integrate into a country he loved so very much was but a white monkey display, performed as a comedy act for the influential officials of southern China. Wang then abandoned his Chinese name that day, and the former king of bravery adopted the name Sea Milk, which suited his fall from grace much more appropriately.
Now, actually, this story is not that far from the truth. It's kind of a sore subject for me, the idea of integrating into Chinese society. When you move there as a young man and you kind of expect to be able to learn the language and be accepted by the culture in general, but when it turns out that's actually just not the case. You can go through all of the steps, like I said, language, cooking, marrying a Chinese person, kind of being a part of their family, but at the end of the day, you are still just a spectacle for the public. You are still an outsider no matter what you do. You can have a Chinese person that's 100% ethnically Chinese, but 100% culturally American, and they will be much more accepted into Chinese culture than you will, even after living there for 10, 20, 30 years. So it doesn't really matter how much effort you put in to this exclusive society, and that's what kind of sucks. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please go downstairs. Tell me what you think about this. What do you think of the social construct of national identity versus the kind of racial one that Chinese people use?
In all seriousness, though, me and my parents-in-law get along very, very well now. That's not to say it wasn't a whole lot of work in the beginning. It was very, very difficult to get them on my and my wife's side, but in the end it all worked out, and I think that, anyone has the potential to change their mind or open up a little bit. That doesn't change the fact that you, as a foreigner, can never become Chinese, though. You just have to work on, changing those around you and convincing people that you, in fact, are not so bad. Now, this is obviously just a humorous video that's covering the faults and foibles of my marriage. There's a lot of good memories tied to that as well. But if you want to see more about this in super great detail, Winston and I did an over 20-minute video on ADVChina called You Will Never Be Chinese that covered every aspect of how foreigners can never become Chinese within China, from getting permanent residency down to, just basic conversation where people will compliment you on just the ability to say hello and use chopsticks and things like that. So if you want to see that in a lot more detail, definitely go check that video out.
Everything is the same as us, but you will never be Chinese.
Yeah.
Your skin is not Chinese, your blood is not Chinese, your heritage is not Chinese.
Yeah, I kind of find it a little bit amusing when there was recently some American scientist made some or other discovery.
If you want to see more stuff like this and a chance to vote on video topics, send me private messages, and all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff, go to patreon.com/Laowinners. And I want to say that every single Wednesday at 1 p.m. EST, you can watch a Lao86 video right here. Watch another one. Up here, you can see an ADVChina video every single Monday at 1 p.m. EST. And right below that, on Fridays, just in time for a beer, as he says, the Serpents a Day video at 1 p.m. on Friday.
Cool, now do one for ADVChina since you're there anyway.
Oh, not a bad idea.